Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is holding high-stake talks with North Korea's top diplomat, Kim Yong Chol. This meeting could signal a second summit between President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong Un. For more on this, let's bring in CBS News State Department reporter Christina Ruffini. She is joining us from Washington, D.C. All right, Christina, so what's the latest on these talks?
Good morning, guys. We had a chilly night at the airport last night where we did see North Korea's top negotiator, Kim Jong Chol.
Be careful, don't get run over,
Busy day at the DuPont Circle Hotel here. We're all fine. You know what, Vlad? Anything for you, buddy. We saw the U.S. Stephen Biegun is the chief nuclear negotiator who's dealing with North Korea for the U.S. We did see him. Our crew saw him at the airport last night. We talked to the pilots from the flight, actually, from Beijing, who said they didn't even know the North Koreans were on board. They said, they were told there was a VIP at the last minute and somebody got on with, they had the VIP credentials and they got on right before takeoff. And then as far as they knew, it was a normal flight. They didn't stop the plane before it got to the gate. Everybody deplaned like normal. There was no announcement. Please stay seated. We have somebody to leave. So they came through. They whisked them away to a side customs area. We never saw them in the terminal. But some of our Asian press associates did get a very blurry, long lens shot of them getting into the cars. And they came here to the DuPont Circle Hotel. We're about a 10 or 7 minute drive from the White House. And we assumed these meetings today would be taking place at the State Department. But earlier this morning, a note went out that said it will be at the DuPont Circle Hotel. And so Secretary Pompeo arrived here a little while ago. We saw Stephen Biegun go upstairs, and they're meeting upstairs. They're going to do a photo op, which I don't know if that video has come in yet. We can't see it where we are. They're going to shake hands at the top, and that's going to be in a separate meeting. We weren't allowed in the actual meeting room, so they've kind of staged that photo op for us. There's going to be a handshake, and you'll see the shutters and the flashes, and then they're going to go in and talk about whatever they're going to talk about. We have very little information from the State Department or from the White House or the NSC on the topics of these discussions. And in fact, until this morning, there wasn't actually any official notice on the record that the North Koreans were going to be here, even though everybody kind of knew about it and we all saw them land last night.
Yeah, so we were showing a little bit of that video, the secretary and North Korea's top diplomat posing for pictures before going up into that meeting. Christina, here's a question, though. What exactly has happened since the very first summit between President Trump and Kim Jong Un? And we were talking earlier, Anne-Marie and I, about the fact that it's important to keep talking to the North Koreans, to keep those diplomatic ties as close as possible. But it also does feel as if this thing ramps up to another summit, when very little has been done based off of the last summit, that it may be an attempt by the administration to change the narrative about what's happening in D.C.
Well, I think there's a lot going on in Washington, right? So there's always the ability to kind of say that here with this administration, because there's always something else going on that you can say, well, maybe that's distracting from the other thing that's distracting from the other thing. I don't know if we know that or not. It's interesting because after the last summit, I'm sure you remember President Trump said, he and the Supreme Leader fell in love, right? They fell in love. And last time this representative was here, he offered that big envelope with the letter that Kim Jong Un had written to President Trump. So if we're going to look at this as they were dating and they fell in love, I would say that President Trump hasn't quite ghosted the North Koreans, but maybe he's benched them for a while, right? When you kind of like somebody, but you don't know if you want to keep going, and it's not quite working out the way you hope, so you just kind of put them to the side, don't really break up with them, keep the lines of communication open, and see where you go in the future. There haven't really been any concrete measures that we've heard of since that summit in Singapore. So hopefully, I think the administration is thinking these talks will be a way to jumpstart that and maybe get things going and get some sort of tangible progress. But we haven't heard a lot of policy coming out of either the State Department, the NSC, or the White House. And we haven't had a lot of guidance. If they've made tangible progress and if they have agreed on some things going forward into possibly a new summit, they're not sharing it with us.
All right, so we'll just have to see what news comes out of this meeting between Pompeo and the North Koreans. Christina, we'll stay in touch. Let us know if you hear anything. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. I'm going to go back inside and try not to get hit by cars.
Yes, try not to get hit by a car and stay warm. Thanks, Christina.